Have you ever pondered the peculiar sight of an empty taxi whizzing past you, its available sign lit up like a beacon in the night? It's a sight that leaves many scratching their heads, wondering why a taxi driver would choose to drive empty instead of picking up passengers at a fare less than the amount he desires. It might seem counterintuitive, right? After all, isn't some money better than no money? But delve a little deeper and you'll find that there's a fascinating interplay of psychological factors and economic principles at work here. First off, there's something called the optimism bias. This is the belief that one is less likely to experience a negative event. In the context of our taxi driver, he might be hopeful, optimistic even, that a better paying passenger is just around the corner, so he chooses to drive empty, banking on the hope of a bigger payoff. Then there's the principle of loss aversion. This is the idea that people are more likely to avoid losses than acquire equivalent gains. Our taxi driver might feel that accepting a lower fare is a loss, a waste of potential earnings. So he'd rather drive empty, waiting for a fare that matches his desired amount. Another factor could be a strategic pricing decision, like price anchoring. By consistently refusing lower fares, the driver is sending a message about the value of his service. He's saying, "My service is worth this much and I won't settle for less." Time management could also be a factor. It might seem more efficient to the driver to find one high-paying fare rather than picking up multiple lower-paying passengers. It's a simple equation of earnings per hour. Finally, there's the question of fairness. The driver might feel that accepting a lower fare is simply unfair, that it undervalues his service. Again, it's about maintaining the perceived value of his service. So there you have it. The next time you see an empty taxi pass you by, remember that there's probably more to it than meets the eye. It's not just about the immediate fare. It's a complex decision influenced by psychological and economic factors. And while the specific motivations might vary from driver to driver, these factors provide some insight into why a taxi driver might choose to drive empty instead of picking up passengers at a lower fare.